Have you ever wondered how scientists discover and identify specific molecules like RNA or DNA within a complex mixture? It's not magic, it's molecular biology. And one of the most vital tools scientists use is the Eastern blotting technique. This powerful method allows them to isolate, analyze, and identify those microscopic molecular structures that hold the secrets of life itself. If this intrigues you, then you are in luck. Today we are diving deep into the Eastern blotting techniques. Eastern blotting is a significant molecular biology technique that allows scientists to identify specific molecules in a complex mixture. Eastern blotting, a name that may sound unfamiliar to some, is a powerful tool in the hands of molecular biologists. This technique stands shoulder to shoulder with its siblings, Western, Northern, and Southern blotting, each named humorously after points on a compass. But today, our focus is on Eastern blotting, a method that enables the detection of specific molecules amidst a sea of complexity. So, what exactly is Eastern blotting? At a basic level, it is a laboratory method used to detect post-translational modifications of proteins. These modifications can include the addition of lipids, phosphates, or carbohydrates to the protein structure, which can significantly alter its function. By using Eastern blotting, researchers can track these changes and gain a deeper understanding of the protein's role within the cell. But why is Eastern blotting so important? The significance lies in its ability to provide insights into the intricate workings of cells and how they respond to various stimuli. Post-translational modifications can influence how a protein interacts with other molecules, its stability, and its location within the cell. Therefore, understanding these modifications can help scientists decipher cellular functions, identify potential disease markers, and even develop therapeutic strategies. So, how does Eastern blotting work? The process begins with the separation of proteins based on their size and charge through a technique called gel electrophoresis. The proteins are then transferred onto a membrane where they are probed with specific antibodies or lectins. These probes bind to the modified proteins, allowing for their detection and analysis. Eastern blotting may seem complex, but its power and potential in molecular biology cannot be overstated. It's a technique that allows us to delve into the molecular realm, to unravel the mysteries of proteins and their modifications, and to advance our understanding of the intricate dance of life at a cellular level. Now that you have a basic understanding of Eastern blotting, let's move on to its step-by-step process. The first step in Eastern blotting is sample preparation. In the world of molecular biology, nothing comes easy, and Eastern blotting is no exception. Our journey begins with the all-important task of sample preparation. This step is crucial because the quality of our sample directly impacts the results of our analysis. To prepare our sample, we first need to extract the proteins from our cells of interest. This is typically done using a lysis buffer, which helps to break down cell membranes and release the proteins. Now, with our proteins extracted, we move on to the next step: separation of proteins. This is where things start getting interesting. In this phase, we use a method known as gel electrophoresis. Here, an electric current is applied to our sample, causing the proteins to move through a gel. The smaller proteins move quicker and the larger ones lag behind, creating a beautiful pattern of bands across the gel. This step is crucial since it allows us to separate the proteins based on their size, providing us with a clear visual representation of the proteins in our sample. But we're not done yet. Now that our proteins have been separated, it's time to transfer them to a membrane. In this transfer step, we take our gel, which now contains our separated proteins, and place it in contact with a special type of paper called a membrane. We then apply an electric current once more, but this time the proteins move out of the gel and onto the membrane. This step is vital, as it allows for the proteins to be immobilized in the exact positions they occupied in the gel, preserving the pattern of bands we worked so hard to create. And there we have it, the first few steps of Eastern blotting, from sample preparation to protein transfer, all neatly laid out. With our proteins now on the membrane, we are ready for the next steps. The next step in Eastern blotting is blocking. Blocking is an essential process, often overlooked, but without it, our results could be skewed. This step involves the application of a non-specific protein, commonly milk protein or bovine serum albumin, to the membrane. This protein acts as a barrier, preventing non-specific binding of our antibodies to the membrane. By doing so, it ensures that any signal we detect later is genuinely from our target molecule, not just a random protein clinging to the membrane. Once the blocking step is completed, we move on to the incubation with primary antibodies. Now, these antibodies are not just any antibodies. They are specifically designed to recognize and bind to our target molecule. This step is crucial because it sets the stage for what we are actually trying to detect. After the primary antibodies have had a chance to bind, we wash the membrane to remove any unbound antibodies. We then proceed with the incubation with secondary antibodies. Now, you might be wondering, why do we need a second set of antibodies? Well, these secondary antibodies serve a dual purpose. They bind to the primary antibodies, amplifying the signal, and they are also conjugated to an enzyme that will allow us to detect our target molecule. Finally, we come to the signal detection. This is the moment we've been working towards, the moment where we can finally see if our target molecule is present. We add a substrate that the enzyme on the secondary antibody can act upon, causing a color change or chemiluminescent reaction. It's this reaction that we can measure, giving us a visual representation of our target molecule. Each of these steps, from blocking to signal detection, is a piece of the puzzle. They each play a vital role in ensuring the accuracy and reliability of our results. Without even one of these steps, our Eastern blotting experiment would fall apart. With all steps completed, we have successfully detected our target molecule. Eastern blotting, as you can see, is a methodical process. At its core, it's about transferring proteins from a gel onto a membrane, creating a kind of snapshot of the protein's location at a particular moment in time. But let's take a minute to run through the steps we've covered. It all begins with extracting the protein of interest. Once we've done that, we run the sample through a gel in a process known as electrophoresis. This separates the proteins by size, with smaller ones moving faster and thus further along the gel. After electrophoresis, we need to transfer the proteins onto a membrane. This is where the blotting part of Eastern blotting comes in. We soak the gel in a buffer solution, place the membrane on top, and apply an electric current. This pushes the proteins onto the membrane, where they stick in place. Next, we need to make those proteins visible. To do this, we use antibodies that bind specifically to our protein of interest. We incubate the membrane with these antibodies, then wash away any excess. If the antibodies are tagged with a radioactive or fluorescent marker, we can then visualize the proteins under UV light or on X-ray film. But why go to all this trouble? Well, Eastern blotting is an essential tool in molecular biology. It's used in research to identify and locate specific proteins, to study their expression levels and post-translational modifications, and to diagnose diseases. It's a way of asking questions about how our cells work and finding answers that can help us understand and treat diseases. So there you have it, a step-by-step guide to Eastern blotting techniques. Remember, science is not about knowing the answers but about asking the right questions. We've come to the end of our journey through the Eastern blotting techniques. We've navigated through the intricacies of this fascinating molecular biology technique, from its fundamental principles to a comprehensive step-by-step walkthrough. Let's take a moment to retrace our steps. We started with the basic premise of Eastern blotting, a technique that allows us to identify specific biomolecules in a sample. We then dove into the two main parts of the process. The first part involved the separation of biomolecules, and the second part was the transfer and detection of these biomolecules. We emphasized the importance of Eastern blotting techniques in the realm of scientific research. It's a powerful tool in the hands of scientists, enabling them to delve deeper into the mysteries of life at a molecular level. But remember, this is just one technique in the wide world of molecular biology. There are many more waiting to be discovered and understood. Each technique is a new door, opening up fresh perspectives and revealing new insights. So, as we wrap up this exploration of Eastern blotting techniques, let it not be the end, but rather the beginning of your journey into the captivating world of molecular biology. Let your curiosity be your guide as you venture further into the mysteries of life. Thank you for watching, and remember to stay curious and keep exploring.